Good afternoon, this is Deepak. How are you? So, I just arrived in Chicago and I'm teaching this coming week at the Kellogg School of Management. My course, which is called Soul of Leadership, and podcast and answer your questions. So, here I am. Today's question is from Jennifer Lassell. Especially in regard to gene mapping, is a spiritual purification attainable through social requirements for cooperation. In other words, you're alluding to the spiritual requirements demanded of humanity, which enables us to work spiritually. The topic of evolution is near and dear. Thank you for your work and daily transmissions, which I find helpful in furthering my spiritual development. Hopefully everyone is keeping a spiritual journal to write down their revelations, insights, and coded messages as symbols of awareness and the like, even though through taking complete dictation from the Akashic record, so that the story of humanity as a spiritual species may be transcribed as it's transmitted into a body of evidence for the subjective realities. Well, it's a long, complicated question, but basically I think the question is what, if any, is the purpose of existence, and what, if any, is the purpose of evolution? Of course, physicalists describe evolution as simply random mutations of genes and then natural selection, a struggle for survival, and those genes that adapt best to their situations, they turn out to survive and naturally select themselves. So, as you know, I do not agree with that physicalist interpretation. So, let me say what I think the purpose is from simple to more elaborate levels. I think the purpose of human existence is to expand the experience of happiness, fulfillment, peace, joy, love, compassion, equanimity. The purpose of life is to expand the experience of happiness. But your question goes a little deeper. Why in fact, does consciousness create the experience of a mind, body, and universe? That's the question. So, what is consciousness? Consciousness is the ground of all existence, and the ground of all existence is pure consciousness. Pure consciousness at all times is infinite possibilities. It's infinitely creative. It evolves into its expressions, both as mind, body, and universe. It is self-regulating. It is self-organizing. It expresses itself in complementarities such as mind and body, organism and environment. It is recursive, it repeats old patterns at every level, from microcosm to macrocosm. But it is also creatively interactive. It interacts with itself and expresses itself as form and phenomena. Consciousness by itself is formless. You can't see it or touch it or taste it or smell it or in any form conceptualize it or imagine it. Why is that? Well, because it has no form. So that which is formless cannot be seen. And that which is formless also doesn't occupy a location in space. And that which is formless doesn't exist in time. I like to call it non-local being. With this non-local being, which is infinite consciousness, through creatively interacting with itself, it expresses itself as all forms and all phenomena. In fact, anything that has a form, doesn't matter what it is, when you look at it very closely, you'll see it's a phenomenon. And every phenomenon is the arising and subsiding of sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, sense perceptions, which are of course species specific, but are activities of the formless. So start with form, you get to phenomena, and then you get to formlessness. Formlessness is all seers, all modes of seeing, and all scenery, ultimately. Without the formless being, there is no form and no phenomena. To what purpose? Why all this? Let me come back to you on that in 15 seconds. So I'm back here, and what I was saying is that consciousness is infinite, expresses itself as infinite form and phenomena. So you and I are at this moment a form. This is the form. But actually the body is also a phenomenon. Everything is recycling, and also the only way we know there is a body is we can sense it, we can feel it, we can taste it, we can smell it, we can make sound with it. So what we call the body is an experience. And the experience is in that which is also the mind. No physical thing can be known without the mind. So the body is an experience. It's not the container of awareness, it's an experience in awareness. And it's an ever-shifting experience in awareness. And that which humans call mind, body, and universe are a unified experience in human consciousness. Human consciousness is experiencing itself as the human mind, body, and universe. And by the way, all the interpretations that we have for reality have been kind of recycled for thousands of years, and that is both in a way good, but in a way it also conditions us to habitual ways of thinking and perceiving. So once you realize that thinking, feeling, sensing, perceiving are all entangled, then you can take any one of those experiences, whether it's a thought, it's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's a sense perception, a sensation, and by shifting one, you shift all of them. So this is how consciousness constantly creates through and evolves through species of consciousness. Through species of consciousness. So the other day, you know what Michael Shermer in my debate, dialogue asked me about the relationship, say, between a dolphin and a shark. And he said they're sensing each other. And of course they're sensing each other, because that's what consciousness does. It senses itself as both the observer and the observed. And the dance of evolution is such that each species has its own narrow band of experience, and yet there are overlapping narrow bands of experience, and this keeps the ecosystem in fine balance and going as it evolves. So we are the latest adaptation as a species of consciousness, and we are evolving in a way that we become self-aware, and then we discover that awareness is in fact the raw material of all creation. And if awareness is the raw material of all creation, then self-awareness is the highest knowledge. Because from that level of self, which is beyond the mind, beyond the conditioning, beyond the stories that have recycled for thousands of years, beyond all this is the field of all possibilities, and we are that, you are that. Using that as raw materials, we can climb to new expressions. And I've said in the past that these new expressions would be meta-human. As far as genes are concerned, brains are concerned, bodies are concerned, these are words humans have given to modes of knowing and experience in consciousness. They're symbols of experience, as is anything that you can see. My body is a symbol of experience. This cup is a symbol of consciousness, as are those flowers. You know, as I'm even saying this, I'm using words: flowers, painting, hand, cup, goggles or spectacles, face, chin. These are words that humans invented and created symbols that we all use so we can communicate with each other of what we're experiencing. But in the deeper reality, all there is consciousness experiencing itself. So here's a way to actually capture this, because you can't capture the experience. Experience is ungraspable. You can only be constantly in the presence of that which you can only constantly be in the presence of that which gives rise to the experience, and that is pure being. So once in a while you can stop and say, am I aware? Who or what is aware of thought? Who or what is aware of feeling? Who or what is aware of this sound, this sensation, this form, this color? The more you do that, the more you ground yourself in being, you will then realize that as a being, it's your destiny to play an infinity of roles. But you are not the roles you play. You are like a great Shakespearean artist or actor who can play any role at any time with freedom and joy, as long as you don't confuse yourself with the roles you play. So in a dream last night, you may have experienced yourself and many other people in the dream in a particular location. Actually, I remember last night's dream. I was at Heathrow Airport and I lost my wallet, and everybody was helping me and trying to help me find my wallet. I don't know what the significance of the dream was, but when I woke up in the morning, I realized that I was all the characters in the dream, including myself and all those people trying to help me. I was also in the dream, the airport and the wallet and everything else. In the same way, right now, we are in a waking dream where you think you're separate from all that exists. But you as a person and everybody else around you and the whole scenery, they're all processes in consciousness as it experiences itself as both the seer and the scenery. And so, to what purpose? Infinite Ramanand Dikshit, I love you too. So, to what purpose? Well, to express infinite creativity. Consciousness is inherently creative, and the play of consciousness is what we call the universe as a human construct. So, the goal of all this is to enjoy the experience, help others enjoy the experience if they're suffering, be compassionate, don't get involved in melodrama, stay grounded in being, and go with the flow. Go with the flow. Have no regrets, no anticipation, no resistance. Just be here now. And when I say be here now, yes, Susie, do. When I say be here now, just remember, as I've said before, that now is not a moment in time, and here is not a location in space. Now here is the ever-present witnessing awareness in which the whole universe is arising as all seers, all seeings, and all sceneries in an eternal now. And that is the experience of bliss as well. Bliss, joy, peace. Peg Burns Mason says, I lost you. Well, come back and then listen to it again. Otherwise, just go with the flow. So what is the purpose of evolution? Maximum creativity, existence, joy, happiness, compassion, love. What else could it be? We are here seemingly as separate persons, but fundamentally the same being. That which we call a person or persons are just processes in being. The person is in time, but being is not in time. Okay, so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here with me every day. Thank you for supporting all the books. I'm very grateful that you've been reading You Are the Universe, Discovering Your Cosmic Self and Why It Matters. On the way to Chicago, I've been rereading The Nature of Consciousness, Essays on the Unity of Mind and Matter by Rupert Spira. And I want to also share with you a new book that's coming out in January with me and Rudy Tanzi. It's called The Healing Self, a revolutionary new plan to supercharge your immune system and stay well for life. So thanks once again, and I'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love from Chicago, a human construct.